Emotion going to the last game of the season. How do you feel going into it, and what you expect for this game and going forward?
Yeah, a lot of a range of emotions. Super excited to go out there and compete one more time, with this group. Obviously, sadly the, prospects of the playoffs were taken away, a couple weeks ago when it becomes final. Definitely woke up with just kind of a weird feeling. Obviously we haven't reached the pinnacle of winning a championship. You want to be the last team standing, but when your season doesn't, even get to progress into the playoffs, and this is the last game of the year compared to, you're playing an elimination game in the playoffs, and you got so much on the line there, and you're trying to prolong your season. Knowing that we don't get to prolong our season today is definitely, unique feeling. But I've got a lot of positive takeaways, so far from this season. I can't wait to have more, even after today's, 48-minute game, and we'll have our exit meetings tomorrow, our final team meeting tomorrow to kind of lay the seeds for what kind of off-season we've got to have, the motivation we've got to have, how we're going to make this season continue to matter and fuel us into the off-season. That's kind of the sentiment I get from the group, which is really, empowering, invigorating for me, but definitely weird feelings. I first and foremost think about our fans too, the fact that we get to be here at home. Hopefully it's a, still a great celebration of, this great fan base, the love that they have for this team. Hopefully we go out there and we represent our city one last time with a lot of pride and fire and competitiveness, play some good basketball too.
Taylor, just following up on that, you alluded to positive takeaways and trying to get to that pinnacle of winning a championship. What are those positive takeaways that you feel like could be built upon on that goal of winning a championship?
Yeah, I mean, there's still more evaluation that's got to be done when you kind of let the season kind of just a little decompressed period, over the next couple of weeks before you really get back into the gym with the guys. But so much individual growth, as I've commented all season long. Just so many different guys stepping up to the plate and taking advantage of their opportunities here. Not going to necessarily go one by one. Happy to answer those questions tomorrow for sure on the specific guys. But even me, just how I've got to coach different. Every single opportunity throughout the season has presented a new challenge. We've had to get creative. Hopefully there's some positive strides, talking with the guys of how we've had to kind of rethink some things about our system, our style of approach with player development, how we practice, how we even watch film. That's the journey, season to season. Every season presents something different. Obviously this presented something that no one was expecting, but how can we still get something out of the unexpected was kind of one of my biggest takeaways, and that's going to be something we'll reflect a lot of on the next couple of weeks.
Coach Scotty's done really well and progressed really well. You've got three guys that can play lead guard that are not in uniform. How have Marcus and Ja and Derek worked with him, influenced him, and helped him grow into what looks like a real NBA player?
Yeah, Scotty's done unbelievable. I'm so impressed, just in a short amount of time that he's been here. He's really kind of just grasped the opportunity, but he's endeared himself to not just our coaching staff, but teammates because of how he competes. He's grown as a playmaker. You see him diving on the floor, trying to make the winning plays. He's having big scoring nights, but he's trying to do it all within the context of how we're supposed to play. And I think that's what those three guys, as you talked about, John, Marcus, Derek, they really lean on him. They get so much happiness and joy when they're not able to be out there and practice, but they're in the group, they're on the sideline, they're talking with them, they're pulling them over. You see them doing it in the games, they're doing it organically in their own styles, and I think Scotty's very appreciative of that because obviously those are three stellar, guards and players in this league that hopefully are going to translate, into great development opportunities for him moving forward, all the things that they're, teaching him.
So, Taylor, there was this graph out there that showed coaches with challenge volume, but also challenge accuracy, and you were in the top right quadrant for good accuracy, high volume. Just what went into the growth with the coaching staff of the process of issuing a challenge?
Yeah, I got to give the credit to the staff. They were giving me a lot of pushback over the last couple of years if I got to be more aggressive. And I don't know if it's maybe because there was a second challenge that got instituted this year that there was maybe more of a willingness to do that. But that was one of those things that I knew I had to get better as a head coach. Trying to make sure we were putting ourselves in a position to try to get the call right, to defend my guys. Trust also the players. You see them all the time going, you got to challenge that, and those are active dialogues we have, with our players in certain situations. But a lot of work went into our coaching staff presenting a great process for us. What's the communication process? What are the things that we're really willing to push the envelope on challenging? What are those situations? Whether it's time and score, it's a mandatory is about to come. Is this really worth it early in the game? Knowing that you want to get this right so you can preserve deserve that second challenge. All those dialogues were stuff we had coming into the season, and really trying to set ourselves up to have a very consistent process that sometimes everyone's probably screaming challenge, 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 but we know that's probably not a high probability one for us. So as much as I know all the fans want me to challenge, even our players sometimes, I have to say no. And I know that I missed the beat on some of those too, and we look back after the fact and say we should have challenged that when we talk about that after the game. Should we? Shouldn't we? And that process still evolves, but there's been a consistent approach, and hopefully I can replicate that next year as long as we're trying to get it right, put our guys in a position to win. Every possession matters.
Taylor, just when you see a situation like a couple days ago where it comes out that there was a error, with extra time being played in the game, and of course we talked about the last 2-minute report stuff before, which is how do you process that? Because it's over at this point, but how do you process that when you look back on it and you see, those mistakes?
Yeah, I mean, it's, I think when I woke up the next day or 2 days later, I can't remember when it came out there, I think it was a shock to everybody. I mean, so many people didn't notice it, what a crazy situation unfolded, but I think the league, came out and talked about the mechanisms and the process for, how it unfolded, and that it didn't get caught. Luckily it seemed like it didn't have that much of an impact on the result of the game, and I mean, it was a heck of a game. Came down to the wire, obviously just a possession or two right there. Everyone's going to put a magnifying glass and all that on it, but I think they found the resolution and understanding that this is definitely crazy, but so proud of our guys, even though no one could caught that, as unique as that was, it was still a highly competitive game between two competitive teams. Great, thanks.